Hello.
Hello all, I'm Guna Madhivanan from Officers IAS Academy. Friends, we are coming up with an exclusive live quiz program based on current affairs targeting 2024 prelims on a weekly basis. So every Saturday at 6 p.m. in our Officers Path channel, we will be coming up with this live quiz program. So how to participate? So for which you have to install an mobile application. So go to either App Store or the Google Play Store to download this application named Kahoot application. Download and install it. Right. So every Saturday at 6 p.m. in the live video, I will be giving you a 7-digit PIN. So you have to enter that 7-digit PIN in your installed application. In that Kahoot application, you have to enter that 7-digit PIN. Or we will give you a QR code. If you are not interested in installing the application, you can scan the QR code in the web browser. You can open the web page. In that you can enter this 7-digit PIN number and you can participate in this quiz program. So once you enter the 7-digit number, the application will ask you to give a username. So you have to give your username. Followed by your username, please give your last 4 digits of your mobile phone number. For example, my username is Guna8990, the last 4 digits of my phone number. So like that you can create your own username. That's all. You are ready to participate in the quiz. So in the live video, I will be showing you the question. The question will be followed by 4 options as usual, A, B, C, D. The 4 options will have a color code, right? So option A, red color, option B, blue color, option C, green color, option D, yellow color. So the 4 options will have 4 different color codes. So in your mobile phone, you have installed the Kahoot application, right? So the Kahoot application in your phone, in your device, it will show you 4 colored box, only 4 colored box. Only in the video which you are watching, in that live video, I will give you the question, followed by that 4 option I will be giving you. The 4 option will have a color code, right? So if you are going to choose A as the right answer, then A has red color, then in your mobile phone you will have a red colored box. You have to choose that. That's all. If the answer which you have chosen is correct, and if you have chosen that quickly, for every question we will give you 60 seconds. Assume that I am choosing A is the right answer, and I am choosing within 20 seconds, within 10 seconds, based on how quickly I choose the question. I have to choose the correct one and I have to choose it as early as possible. So the one who is choosing at the earliest will be given more points. So if I am choosing in 20 seconds, I'll be given more points. If someone is choosing at 30 seconds, then relatively lesser points, right? So this is how the quiz will work. So at the end of the program, we will show you the leaderboard. Between the questions also, I will show you the leaderboard. At the end, I will show you the final leaderboard. The one with more number of points will be given a certificate, right? The idea of the quiz program is to provide you a real-time experience of solving the questions along with that competitive environment, right? I hope this program adds more value to your preparation. So along with this, we have a daily current affairs hit list series, daily answer rating initiative. So all these initiatives will give you a competitive edge in your 2024 prelims as well as mains, right? I hope this adds more value to your preparation. So see you in the quiz. Till then, bye, take care.
Welcome to this quiz on polity. So I'm sure many of you are from our own academy. There are people from outside also who would have joined, close to 100 at present, and hope it keeps increasing with time. So this is going to be in the entire polity syllabus. These are questions, one or two of them, which are based on previous year questions or CBSE books and all that. But apart from that, there are some very basic questions, but also deep questions, I would say, which I have picked up. These are part of the practice questions, which is in my courseware, my book, Polity Simplified. Of course, our academy people already have a copy of it, but the market version is available, which also has online practice questions. And these questions have been picked from those questions which are there in the online. There are close to 200 questions which are there online. Out of that, I have picked 10 questions from each area, right? From preamble, from fundamental rights, from parliament, from executive, from judiciary, from center-state relations, etc. So the idea is to make you think. The idea is also to quickly discuss what is the approach that you should take while answering these polity questions. And there are some questions which also have a current affairs linkage. I keep saying there is static link to current affairs that is asked in the UPSC exam. So that is also kept in mind while picking these questions. And the top 3 winners will of course get a copy of my book, Polity Simplified. So without much ado, let's go to the quiz straight away. Let's have the first question, please. So this is the first question that is on your screen right now. Consider the following statements. Statement 1, the preamble aims to secure all citizens justice, liberty and equality. Statement 2, the preamble reflects the philosophy, aspirations and minds of the constitution makers of the minds of constitution makers. Which one of the following is correct in respect of the above statements? Both 1 and 2 are correct, and 2 is a correct explanation for 1. 1 and 2 are correct, and 2 is not the correct explanation. 1 is correct, 2 is incorrect, and 1 is incorrect and 2 is correct. So let us see how many of you get it right. I thought I'll start with a simple one and with the preamble, right? Which is the entire philosophy of the Constitution. Yesterday was the Republic Day. Some controversy relating to the original preamble versus the preamble as on date. The Constitution is a living document and we need to follow the Constitution and the preamble as on date. Wonderful. So 85 people have got the answer right, which is both 1 and 2 are correct, and 2 is the correct explanation of 1. Because what does the preamble say? We want to secure for our citizens justice, social, economic, political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity. And this is what our constitution makers wanted India to be, or they fought for independence, they fought for a democratic republic, and they wanted to guarantee these things to the citizens of our country. And that is what is given in the second statement. So both the statements are correct, and the second is indeed the correct explanation of the first statement. So I hope the people who got it wrong have understood why option A, or the red option, is the correct answer in this question. So let us now move to the next question. Yeah, so we have the scoreboard where Anant is leading, Priyadarshini is second, Manikandan is third, Manikandan, Murali are tied for the third place. So this is early days yet, it's just the first question. So let us move to the second question. Which of the following best represents the relationship between executive and legislature in the Indian context? So your time starts now. Rigid separation of powers between the executive and the legislature, a broad separation of powers between the legislature and the executive, members of the executive are not members of the legislature, members of the executive are part of the legislature but are not accountable to it. It's again a pretty straightforward and simple question based on the salient features of our constitution. We are a parliamentary democracy, as we all know. So what is the essence of parliamentary democracy? That is what is tested in this question. Unlike a presidential democracy, there is a difference in a parliamentary democracy. So what is it that is what is the essence of the parliamentary democracy is what is tested in this question. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there you go. So we have the answers. I'm surprised. Out of 120 plus answers, only half of them have got it right. So guys, I hope all of you are learning the concepts clearly. What is the essence of a parliamentary democracy in India? In a presidential democracy, there is strict separation of powers between the legislature and the executive. So the first statement is incorrect. It cannot be a strict separation of powers, rigid separation of powers in a parliamentary democracy. It is based on a broad separation of powers and a system of check and balances. Why? Because the executive is part of the legislature in a parliamentary democracy. What is the requirement for becoming a minister in India? You have to be an MP in the center. What is the requirement for becoming a minister in a state in India? You will have to be an MLA or an MLC in a state. So clearly the executive is part of the legislature. So option C is ruled out. And option D is also ruled out because the executive is always accountable to the legislature. Right? The executive not being accountable to the legislature on a day-to-day basis is a presidential form of democracy, like USA. So in a parliamentary democracy, executive is part of the legislature. A minister has to be an MP or an MLA at the center of the state, and they are accountable to it. They need to have majority in the Lok Sabha or in the assembly. They are answerable to the questions that are asked. So option D is also incorrect. It is based on a broad separation of powers because legislature is law making, executive is implementation, but it is not strict separation because executive only initiates all the legislative proposals. Cabinet only approves and introduces the bill and gets it approved by the parliament. So it is based on a system of check and balance or broad separation of powers, not a rigid or a strict separation of powers. So the correct answer for this is option B. Right? And let's now look at the score once again. Oh, so that is significant. There is Preeti, Murali, Adi, Karthik, Priya, all 5 on top. Are from they are all new names. None of them were in the top 5. I think at the end of the first question. So it is swinging pendulum, right? Like it looks like the election results. being telecast when one party goes up and the other party comes down. But okay, this is not as what should I say, as divisive as those election results. We are all doing this to learn the constitution. So good luck for the rest of the questions. Let's move to the third question now. Which of the following determines that India is federal? So guys, please think and answer. This is again a tricky question. A written constitution, an independent judiciary, vesting of residuary powers with the center, or distribution of powers between the center and the states. So which is the most appropriate answer amongst the four choices given? Please think before you type your answers. The answers are going up. We are having more than 120 answers at present. You still have 25 seconds less. Think and answer. Don't be in a hurry. It's a very simple question. Simple meaning in terms of the options, it's pretty simple. But you need to think as to what is the most appropriate answer. So if you have to do a countdown, you have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, and there you go. Wonderful. That is a brilliant answer by majority of the people. More than 100 people have got the answer right, which is D. Guys, the first, the second and the fourth are all federal features. So if you look at what are the federal features, or what are the features that are required for a constitution to be federal or a country to be a federal country, you need a written constitution, you need dual government, one at the center and one at the state, you need to have division of powers between the center and the state, and you need to have an independent judiciary to settle the disputes between the center and the states. These are the four important requirements of a federal constitution, no doubt. Option C, or the yellow option, is ruled out, isn't it? See, because the center having the residuary powers, or the parliament having the residuary powers, is a unitary feature of the Indian constitution. So that is not a federal character. All the other three are federal in nature, right? But what is the most appropriate? What defines that we are federal? And out of the three, see, a country can have a written constitution but still not be a federal country, like Japan. A country can have an independent judiciary but still not be a federal country, like Japan or England. So while a federal country requires a written constitution, an independent judiciary and distribution of powers, out of the choices, the most appropriate, which brings out the federal feature or the federal characteristic of our country, is the distribution of power between the center and the state. So guys, the UPSC is asking for the most appropriate answer, right? More than one statement may be correct with respect to the question asked, but it is testing what is most appropriate, right? And out of these three, while written constitution and independent judiciary is also a feature of our federalism, but of the three choices which are given, the most defining federal feature is the distribution of powers, because written constitution and independent judiciary can also be there in a unitary country, right? Whereas distribution of powers can only be there in a federal country like India, right? So the most appropriate answer is D. So now let us look at the leaderboard. Is there a change again? Okay. Preeti is holding on to a top spot. Wonderful, Preeti. Murali Kumar is holding on to the top spot. But again, Harsh, Adi has slipped or is in the same position. Sujit and Harsh have come up. Wonderful. So it's a tight contest, I think. We still have 7 more questions to go. So let us move to the next question. Question number 4. Which of the following leads to the disqualification of a member of parliament under the anti-defection law? So guys, this is static link to current affairs. All of you must have read the newspapers. The Maharashtra speaker has refused to disqualify 40 MLAs of the Shinde faction, the 14 MLAs of the UBT faction in Maharashtra. It is a national news. The Supreme Court had come down heavily on the Maharashtra speaker for delaying it. Finally, he has decided. But again, there are controversies surrounding it. I had written an article in the Hindu Text and Context. Recently, there was an editorial that I wrote in October about the speaker's position. So this is so much in the news. So 10th schedule is a potential question for both prelims and mains. And in mains, there can be an analysis of the 10th schedule, which if you read the Hindu article, of course, in my book, it is explained in detail, Polity Simplified. And prelims can be anything linked to the static provisions of the 10th schedule. So 3, 2, 1. Let us look at the answer, and you have around 87 people who have answered it correctly, right? So can you go back to the question, please? Can we have a look at the question one more time? Okay. So the two statements are correct. There is one statement which says that if a person voluntarily gives up the membership of the political party, he is liable for disqualification, which is correct. The second statement of the question, sorry, I am not able to recollect the question exactly, but the second statement of the question is also correct, whereas the third statement is incorrect. A nominated member can join a political party within 6 months. If he joins after 6 months, it is a ground for disqualification, not joining within 6 months. So the third statement is incorrect, and the correct answer for this is only 2 statements are correct. So now let us look at the scoreboard again. Wonderful. So Preeti is sticking on to a top position. Wonderful. Adi has moved up. Harsh has moved up. Kesavan has moved up. Pratham has moved up. So again, top 5, 4 changes, right, in the positions, and some new entrants as well. So that is wonderful. Shows it's quite competitive. But guys, again, this is not some Dream 11 team that you are making, and whether you are winning the prize money or not. Ultimately, this is about learning the provisions of the Constitution, and I hope you are learning well because of the answers and the discussion that we are having. So now let us move to the next question. Consider the following statement with regard to Committee on Privileges. Again, guys, linked to the current event. It examines the cases of breach of privileges of the House and its members and recommends appropriate action. It also examines the cases of misconduct and recommends appropriate action. Which of the statements given above are correct? So guys, again, there is a Mahua Moitra case where she was expelled from the Lok Sabha based on the report of a committee. I'm not going to name which committee it is, right? And whether that committee was appropriate to inquire into this allegation, and whether it was the appropriate committee to recommend the expulsion is a matter of debate that came up. And again, I had written a text and context article in the Hindu newspaper for this. So let us see how many of you get it right. Oh, this is a tricky one. So majority of the people have answered C as the right answer. But again, guys, it is A1 only which is the correct answer, right? Because the Privileges Committee is responsible for inquiring into privileges, but it is the Ethics Committee which reviews the misconduct of MPs. And in fact, in Mahua Moitra case, it was the Ethics Committee which actually inquired into a breach of privilege, because it was alleged that she had taken money from a businessman and allowed him to use the login, etc., and input the questions, etc., and that had resulted in her expulsion from the House. So there was a question of whether it is the ethics committee which is the appropriate committee to do this. But anyways, it has been challenged in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will hear it. Anyways, it's only 3 more months. The next elections are due. So, but I had written a text and context article again, because see, this is, it can be highly politicized, right? And by majority, the Lok Sabha can decide to expel a member. There is no explicit provision with respect to expulsion in the constitution, but it is considered that it is the privilege of the house to expel a member, and that is the reason why members have been expelled in the past, including the current case of Ms. Mahua Moitra. But ideally, rule of law requires that she is ultimately a democratically elected member of the parliament, of the Lok Sabha. The rule of law requires that you have fast track courts which can decide these cases in a specified period of, let's say, 60 days to 90 days. And if they are anyways convicted, then they lose their seat automatically under the Representation of the People Act 1951. Because if you are convicted for a criminal offence for minimum 2 years, you automatically are disqualified from the house, right? But if they are not convicted and if they are not found guilty, then they must continue as members. That is what I had suggested in my text and context article as well. But this is again, guys, linked to the current affairs in the news, and there could be a question surrounding the Privileges Committee, Ethics Committee, etc. So please revise it one more time. Let's now go to the leaderboard once again. Okay, Preeti is still on top. Wonderful. There are new people who have come in. Harsh retains his 3rd position, but Pratham, Pragatesh, Ajay, good going. So there are some new additions which have come in. So that's a wonderful sign that maybe some people are thorough with certain aspects and some people are thorough with certain other aspects. But for the UPSC exam, you should be thorough with every aspect of polity. And I hope you are learning from this exercise. Now let's go to the next question. So we are at the halfway mark. We are now going to the 6th question, isn't it? Right? We're going to the 6th question. Yeah. So consider the following statements. Statement 1, the judgments of High Court can be appealed against in the Supreme Court. The High Courts are subordinate to the Supreme Court of India. Which one of the following is correct in respect of the above statements? This is now again a tricky question. Please think and answer. $30 up. You still have 30 seconds to think. Now this is again based on a recent judgment. Recent means in the last 6 to 8 months there was a judgment or there was an order of the Supreme Court in respect of one matter, and that is the trigger for this question. And guys, I'll explain to you what it is when we come to the explanation. So the time is up, and I thought so that majority of you will pick the first statement as correct, first option as correct, which is what majority have done. But the correct answer is C. Statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. Why? We have an integrated judiciary, right? That is the essence. That is a unitary feature of the Indian Constitution. We have an integrated judiciary, which means you have a lower court, high courts, Supreme Court. Lower court decisions can be appealed in the High Court. High Court decisions can be appealed in the Supreme Court, both for central laws as well as for state laws, right? It's not like a federal setup in USA where the judiciary is also federal in character, right? We have an integrated judiciary. So the first statement is correct. I think nobody would have had any doubts about it, right? Except for few people who have said first statement is incorrect, which is not appropriate. First statement is correct. But guys, that is because we have an integrated judiciary and the Supreme Court is the apex court. But high courts are not subordinate to the Supreme Court. They are inferior to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is the superior court, but both are constitutional courts. This is an observation that was made by the Supreme Court while passing a judgment recently, about 6 months ago. So, see, in the Constitution, subordinate courts denotes what? the lower courts in a state which comes under the High Court, which comes under the supervision of the High Court. They are called as subordinate courts. But the High Court is not a subordinate court. It's an inferior court. When you say inferior, it means the judgments and the orders of the High Court can be appealed against in the Supreme Court, which is fine. But that doesn't make it a subordinate court. Supreme Court cannot give instructions to the High Court on any matter. Right? It can, I mean, of course, if it has to transfer a case, or if it is in a, if there's a long pending case and if it wants to give some instructions for disposal of that case quickly or something like that, that is fine. But otherwise, they are both constitutional courts. They both have writ jurisdiction powers under Article 32, under Article 226. They both have the power of judicial review. They both are courts of record. So, the High Court is not a subordinate to the Supreme Court. So, the first statement is correct and the second statement is incorrect. Right? So, that's why I told in the beginning, this is a tricky question. So, now let's see whether there is any change in the leaderboard because of this, or whether Preeti manages to hold on a lead. Wonderful. So, Preeti is continuing to lead at 5, 6, 3, 4 points. Harsh has gone up. Pragatesh has gone up. Pavitra is the new entrant, and Rahman has come in the top 5. That is wonderful, guys. So the lead is also increasing for the topper, right? It's more than 300 points now. So you still have 4 more questions to catch up. Let's go to the 7th question. Which of the following statements best explain the term rule of law? Principle whereby members of society, including those in government, are considered equal, subject to publicly disclosed legal codes and processes. Principle whereby members of the society, excluding those in government, are considered equal. Principle whereby different sections of society are subjected to different laws and procedures. Principle whereby the authorities decide on the codes and procedures on a case-by-case basis. So, this is a pretty straightforward question. If you would have understood the concept underlying Dicey's rule of law, right? I can't give you a better clue for answering this question. So, I have given an open clue for answering this question. Underlying concept of Dicey's rule of law, 3 principles. So, what are they? Right? Revise mentally and give your answers. Yeah. Why are the number of answers coming down? Only 115 as against 130 earlier. We have 3 more seconds. 2, 1. Yes, the time is up. Wonderful. Majority have got it right. The first statement is correct. Right? It is everybody is equal before law. In terms of equality before law, what are the 3 principles of Dicey's rule of law? First, no man is punished unless he has committed an offense and has been given a fair trial. The second, in terms of equality before law, everybody is equal before law. That is what the first statement reflects. Guys, in fact, the 4th statement is rule by law, where the people in power will decide on a case-by-case basis what to do. Right? So that is rule by law, not rule of law. Second statement is incorrect. Even government officials are subject to the same law. I mean, they may get away because of their contacts. That is poor implementation of the law. But rule of law requires even government servants being subjected to the same law. And you can't have different laws for different sections of the society. See, equal protection of the laws is okay. That is similarly placed individuals being treated similarly. But what is the essence of rule of law first? Everybody is equal, or everybody is subjected to the same legal codes. So, the correct answer for this is 1, the first statement. Right? So, now let us again look at the leaderboard. Wow, the top 5 people retain the top 5 positions. Wonderful. So this is the first question where there has been no movement in the top 5 positions. The same 5 people are again continuing to be in the top 5. Yeah. So now then the competition should be intense now in the balance 3 questions for the top 3 positions. So Murli Kumar is making a comeback with 3 in a row. So which is good. That's relating to our quiz only, no? Murli Kumar making a comeback with 3 in a row. The one which is coming below. Murli Kumar is making a comeback with 3 in a row. Okay, so he can move up also, which is good. But the top 5 remain intact. So let's move to the next question, the 8th question. Which one of the following best describes the concept of fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution? They are basic rights an individual enjoys by virtue of being a human. They are rights which empower a citizen against the state. They are rights given and protected by the Constitution. They are rights which are sacrosanct and cannot be restricted. Again, guys, think and answer. There are more than one choices which may look appropriate. That is the trick, or that is the tricky situation that these 4 statement questions can pose. We all think, statement 1, statement 2 questions are tougher. Sometimes we think that, only 1, only 2, only 3 statements are tougher. But I would say these are the type of questions which actually test your conceptual understanding and also the most appropriate answer. Right? Because more than one statement may look correct, but then you'll have to choose which is the most appropriate one. Right? And so, let's see. Wonderful. So, I don't know how many of you are people who have taken the test yesterday in our academy. I had asked this question in the academy test also, and we had discussed it in the test discussion yesterday. So, but the correct answer for this is C, or the third statement. Their rights given and protected under the Constitution. So guys, again here, the first statement is more like a natural right. That is not the essence of fundamental right. By being born as a human, all the rights you enjoy, that is what is considered as a natural right. Of course, life and liberty are considered to be basic natural rights and they are guaranteed in our fundamental rights. But the first statement is not the essence of fundamental rights, because they are not the same as natural rights in the Indian context. Fourth statement again is ruled out. They are not sacrosanct. They can be amended without amending the basic structure. Right to property has been deleted from fundamental rights. It has been taken to a constitutional right. Some additional restrictions have been placed on freedom of speech and expression through the amendments to the Constitution, starting from the first amendment. So, the first and fourth are clearly ruled out. But the second and third, you may think, rights are claims of citizens against the state. That is also a conceptual point we would have discussed. It is discussed in the Polity Simplified book. It is discussed in the classes that we have. But there are some rights which are also available to non-citizens. This is, they empower not just citizens but even foreigners in respect of some of the rights. But they are provided and guaranteed in the Constitution itself in part 3. Between 2 and 3, both 2 and 3 you can say are correct. But which is the most appropriate if you have to choose one? It is option C. Right? And so the correct answer for this is their rights given and protected by the Constitution. Right. So now let us look at the leaderboard. Is there a change? Or the top 5 remain top 5? Wow. There's a new person called Kavya Priya who has moved up for the 4th. Naresh is back with an answer streak of 3. The top 3 contest still grows strong, still holds good. Preeti, Harsh and Pragatesh. The difference between the second and third position is less than 100 marks. The top position is still leading by more than 300 marks. I'm just like a live cricket commentary, I'm just reading the scoreboard. But that is just to increase the excitement for the last 3 questions. But guys, again, for those of you who are from outside our academy and participating in the quiz, these are all concepts that have been, these are given in the NCERT textbooks, but those are also part of the Polity Simplified book. The Polity Simplified book and the courseware contains conceptual points. It is written in the form of notes. You have tables, flowcharts for quick revision. There are mnemonics, right? Easy to remember mnemonics. RAC, SSS, Pan India Cinema, RRR, 5C, 1E, 2C, 4R. These are all simple terms. A, B, C, D, E, F for money bill definition. These are simple mnemonics which after you read the provisions, for remembering them, for answering both in prelims and mains, you will have it. And there are, I told you all these 10 questions are from the 200 odd practice test questions that are available in the McGraw-Hill Edge platform. As part of the courseware, you will get an online access to the McGraw-Hill Edge platform where there are 200 plus questions, practice questions. And there is monthly current affairs update, right? For the people from our academy, anyways, Guna sir does it, I do it in the class. right? I also keep writing articles in the Hindu, which will also be useful for your mains answer writing. But over and above that, for the people from outside who would like to have a look at this book and get a copy of it, you will have monthly current affairs updates which contains analysis of all the events during that month. For example, this last month, the 370 judgment, the same-sex marriage case, election commissioner's appointment which was passed in the winter session, all those, the 3 new criminal laws which are passed in the winter session, all those have been discussed in the last month current affairs, which is already available in the McGraw Edge platform as part of the courseware. This month, you will have a discussion on the Bilkis Banu remission judgment. You will have a discussion on the 10th scheduled decision of the Speaker of the Maharashtra Assembly. There are some more additional points that have come up, right, for hearing and all that. So all these things so it is a complete course where it is static plus current events, I would analyze the current events and possible questions from that also in monthly documents and videos that I will make as part of the courseware. So, it will be a one-stop solution for your preparation for polity, right? And to excel both in prelims as well as in mains. Anyways, now, and the top 3 people will anyways get a copy of the book. So, I'm sure you will hopefully like it and spread the word about the book to the others as well in your circles. Let's move to the next question. Consider the following statements. Statement 1. The Indian Constitution provides for differentiated citizenship. Statement 2. Special provisions can be made under the Constitution for the advancement of socially and educationally backward classes, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Which one of the following is correct in respect of the above statements? So this is again an interesting question. Think and answer. Yes. 20 more seconds. Oh, so now guys, I understand that majority of you have answered D, right? Everybody knows that statement 2 is correct, right? Because there can be special provisions made for scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and backward classes. And the trick here is, I must concede that, this is a point that I wouldn't have discussed in detail in the class also for our academy people. Right, and even other textbooks, standard textbooks, including my textbook about this differentiated citizenship, it doesn't have any statement in the book, but it has this practice question with the explanation, right? So what is differentiated citizenship? Differentiated citizenship is different affirmative actions for certain groups. That is the meaning of differentiated citizenship. So everybody is equal before law. That is what is Article 15. No discrimination only on the basis of race, religion, caste, sex, place of birth. So that is equality before law. That is no discrimination. Equal citizenship. That is the essence of a democracy in the Indian Constitution. But differentiated citizenship here doesn't mean different privileges. Differentiated citizenship here means affirmative action for different sections who are considered as a group, not an individual. See, an individual is not differentiated. Are you able to understand? If an individual is differentiated and given a privilege, that is wrong. That is against rule of law. But if a group is differentiated to provide some affirmative action, that is what is known as differentiated citizenship. So, the special provisions for the backward classes, scheduled caste and scheduled tribe is providing differentiated citizenship to a group which is in the form of an affirmative action. So the correct answer for this is both the statements are correct and the second statement is a correct explanation of the first statement. So this I knew will be a tricky question, but no problem. I hope all of you who have seen this question have learned about this concept based on this discussion. So now let us see if there is a change in the leaderboard because of this question. Oh, wonderful. So Preeti has increased her lead. She has gone much higher. Maybe she got this question right, which is good. Harsh, Pragatesh continue to be in the second and third position. Kavya, Priya, Rahman. So no change in the top 5, but Preeti has zoomed past with more than 1,000-point lead. Wonderful. So good show. Let's go to the next question, which is the 9th one. This is the 10th one? Okay, sorry, the last one. Consider the following with reference to the National Capital Territory of Delhi. Again, guys, current events related, current affairs related. Ordinance can be promulgated by the Lieutenant Governor only after obtaining instruction from the President. The recent amendment to the Government of NCT of Delhi Act has created a National Capital Civil Service Authority for making recommendations to the Lieutenant Governor on various matters relating to services. Which of the statements given above are correct? Wonderful. So more than half of the people who answered have got it right. Both the statements are correct. Ordinance can be promulgated for Delhi only after the previous instruction from the President, which means the approval of the President. And now one of the controversial amendments to the National Capital Territory of Delhi Act, which was passed during the monsoon session, after the Supreme Court judgment, to overcome that or to overrule that or to not overrule, to supersede that. There was an ordinance which was promulgated in May, and that was made into a law in the monsoon session in August. There is the reduction in the importance of democratically elected government there at present now because of this National Capital Civil Service Authority. It has been challenged in the court. We'll have to wait and see what the courts decide on this matter. But both the statements from a constitutional and a legal perspective are correct statements, right? And so the correct answer is C, both 1 and 2. So that brings us to the end of the quiz. And so let us see who are the podium finishers. Third place, Pragatesh, wonderful, good show. Second place, Harsh, wonderful, good show. And the first place, the winner goes to Preeti. That is wonderful. 10 out of 10 for Preeti, which is a remarkable feat. 9 out of 10 for Harsh and 9 out of 10 for Pragatesh as well. So, and for the others, there is no, this is just to motivate you guys. I mean, everybody who participated is a winner as long as you learnt the underlying concepts for all the 10 questions, and which makes you widen your horizon on how to prepare for polity, ensuring that you get into the minute details of both the provisions, number one, number two, the static provisions linked to current events, right? And that is what I keep telling in the class, and that is what the Polity Simplified book also covers, right? Because it ensures that it is given in a simple way so that you are able to understand it clearly, both the concept and the provision. The current events are adequately discussed in the book itself till September 2023 when the book was finally printed. But after that, for every month, there is a update which comes, right, for the current events, and that will ensure that you are up to date with all the events relating to polity, which is important for both your prelims and mains. So I am glad with a wonderful participation today. More than 120 people have participated for the quiz, which is remarkable. And congratulations to all who participated, and a special congratulations to the top 3 people. Thank you. I'll see you again soon later with another quiz. Thank you.